Well, when you think of the different films has that you can watch around Halloween time, I have a couple that can come up to mind. I you can could have some that's not motion films like The Nightmare Before Christmas or Frankenweenie. You could can have some of that Disney Channel original films, such as Zombies or Halloween Town, or you can have probably one of the most iconic Halloween films, the Hocus Pocus movies. Yeah, nearly every Halloween is a tradition by many that many people, but always uh, we like the black. I can't handle to watch it. Honestly, say Arch the Sanders is on their adventure, and with the sequel being out for a couple of years, some people have even added that into the mix. It's what and they watch both Hocus Pocus movies each year. It, seeing as many people haven't done this yet, as I think it's that I do a comparison between the two, seeing which one's better. This will be my first time watching both of these movies, so I'll be coming in completely fresh, as with a clear and open mind. That being said, which one of the two is better? Well, let's start this off with Hocus Pocus itself. Out of the original, no, the 1993 classic, the one that started this duology, and the one that quickly bought all of me. Look, I do like this film, but there are things that kind of bore me. I was not really impressed by the story. It's about a group of kids that light a special candle that bring in free witch expats there, and they cause chaos over the town of Salem. Themselves, the kids have to figure out how to get rid of them before the witches plan and to suck up the youth out of every child so they can be young again. As a result, it doesn't us make the film feel easily predictable, but with such a basic story like this, and I myself pretty bored in the first. I was when the witches just didn't show up, because I knew exactly everything that was going to happen. But it didn't help that I didn't really care for the main characters. Like, Max is a fine protagonist, but he's definitely not memorable. It also doesn't help that there's a controversy as with him of how he's treated for being a virgin. I don't really know too much about the subject, so I'm not going to dive deep into the virgin controversy. I've seen either of these films, but I can understand why people have it in a note or that with the way Disney treated him through the film. I also didn't really care much for his sister Danny, or his love of interest, although she was quite hot though. But none of them had any interesting personalities that got me invested with them. However, what I did not care about this movie when the witches weren't on screen, everything changes when we meet the Sanderson sisters. And I've got to say, everything that does involve the Sanderson sisters in this movie is really entertaining. These three are easily the highlights of the film, each with their entertaining personalities and how they're not afraid to go too over the top. Eden. Each one of them has become Halloween icons, and I can see it. Even when many people consider them to be inspiration, they're just so entertaining as villains. You get more invested with their side of the story than the heroes. Rose. And this film does get cheesy and cringy with its humour, and I think it's a huge benefit. The acts on their own might not seem great, but it's the way they're delivered by the actors that are so entertaining. It's the kind of film where even if the joke doesn't sound great on paper, but the actor's delivery more than makes up for it. And that's especially the case with some of the jokes and wit. But even if I didn't find the lines to be funny, it's the way they deliver them that makes the Sandersons there's also very entertaining. I also really like the lore with them and how they were considered witches throughout the town, and how they created black flame candles to be lit by a virgin, so they could eventually rise from the grave and cause trouble. But I also think the town of Salem is really nice. It got the style of a typical Halloween town you get in these types of films, but it really does us help as a benefit. And I did find myself getting engaged with all of it. It also, so the scenes with the visuals are the best. Or where the witches where the Sanderson sisters are using their abilities to use flying on their brooms, or even with the book, which is it's like half EG, half puppet. But it's supposed to, in fact, the book and the cat helps out. I mean, a protect and goodness, it's a half CG with a bit of puppetry use, and I really like that. It's a great style way of blending two mediums together. And sometimes I was questioning to see in what type of medium was used. So yes, on its own, Hocus Pocus isn't a fantastic movie, but it knows it's not great and just has fun with it. Yeah, as the story style, and I did not care about the main characters, but everything about the Sanderson sisters was a lot of fun. And I made this film really enjoyable. I don't know if this will be a type of film I'll watch every Halloween, but safe to say I have a lot of fun with this one. Enough fun to give this a 7 out of 10 in fact, so yeah, I liked it. And now we're done with that, we can move on to Hocus Pocus 2. Now, when it comes to legacy sequels, most people consider them to be inferior to the original, with a couple of exceptions, since most of them seem to focus a lot more on nostalgia than telling an actual good story. And while I have seen many people not be huge on this one, and this could be a hot topic, but I honestly think Hocus Pocus 2 is even better than the first film. And I can already see those pitchforks and torches come through it. Let me explain. Yes, the first one was entertaining, but I was surprised to find myself getting really invested with the second film. Technically, this is one of those sequels that have a similar story to the first one, where a group of teens bring back the Anderson sisters and have to stop them from causing chaos in Salem. Look, yes, as this is one of those films where it has a story that is eerily similar to the first film. However, the execution more than makes up for it. When you put away the unoriginal story to a side, I do find that there's a lot to like. I could put out Hocus Pocus 2. Of course, like the first one, the biggest highlight are the Sanderson sisters themselves. They were already great in the first film. But I found them to be a lot more interesting than here. Yes, the personalities make this film extremely entertaining. And the actors' chemistry is on point. But I like how the film does get a bit more into the backstory of how they became witches and got all their power. Ours was and how they became legends we all know. Also, so I really like the connection between the three of them, and what even if they do appear each other, it is noticeable the three do love each other. And I'll admit, the ending can be quite emotional, and Winnie realizes that by using the power spell, she had to get rid of her sis. Which does show that there's a lot more layers to these villains than you might think. I also still found myself more invested with the 18th in this film than I did with the last film. As they were already being the bland first one, but I really like the group of girls here, especially when one of them ends up becoming a witch. It's by the end of the feature, and I like that Becca made A-Force on the main character, so I did it like I could, right? And I don't think I'll remember them as much, but it doesn't change the fact that I did have a good time with them. Tommy helps he's the man in this film, and I was surprised to find how entertaining he is. I had a lot of fun when this character was on screen, and his joke was just as hilarious as the Sandersons is, just with how funny and over the top they are. There is this one character that I was not a huge fan, and that's like this owner of a magic jigsaw the main characters go to Gilbert, and despite having interesting history of experience, even in the Sanderson sisters, and considered them to be idols, he doesn't do much of becoming a new henchman, and then in learning the lesson of never meet heroes. Which does stop him from being an interesting character. But other than him and the weak story, I found myself really invested with Hocus Pocus 2. Shoot, all this film isn't perfect, but the characters are definitely a lot more enjoyable. The visuals was definitely got a bit of an improvement with this one, and the Sanderson sisters are just as entertaining as they were before. Or if you like the first one, you'll have a great time with this one. Especially since I consider this one to be a lot more entertaining than the first, which is why I'm giving this film an 8 out of 10. So yeah, it doesn't matter if you go for the first one or the second one, and you can like that plan. I can, and do for or a good time with a group of witches with the Hocus Pocus films. So if you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!